I never could figure out what it was that made me want to dance. I just knew I had to. From the moment I pulled on my first ballet pumps, something inside me was driving me forward. At that moment, age 7, my fate was sealed. This is my home, Portadown. It's that morning again. It's the day I pack, leaving for London and the Royal Ballet School. It's a journey I've made since I was a small boy. In 7 years, it's definitely been a journey. I've definitely come through different mix of emotions.
Gonna miss me? Absolutely not.
I've been crying and I've been happy, and it's, good to have that emotional roller coaster. It has helped for the artistry of dance, I think. When I look back at tapes of myself dancing and stuff, I'll definitely see this energy about it that sort of really does cry, I want to dance. It's definitely still there, but it's matured a lot more. It's become more I want that technique as well. It's not just the energy about it. I've acquired the need to be more technical about things, be more precise, try and aim for perfection. We're really aiming to make the performance as perfect as you can make it, and making the next performance better than the last. The energy and the want is still there, definitely. My brother Darren, he's got used to a part-time brother. And even though we've spent a lot of time apart, when I get back from ballet school, we pick up just where we left off.
Can you find room for these?
Mum,
Okay, thank you.
she's always been there for me. Never questioned my need to dance. Just tried to help make it happen.
How I deal with Leigh being away, it's like a cut-off point. I try not to think about how he's managing and try and keep myself busy. That's how I manage to cope with it, because I have to do it that way, otherwise probably maybe fall to pieces. I realised even though he went when he was 11 years of age, that was very difficult because I felt that he could not cope without his mother. But as the years have gone on, I can see that he's very adaptable, very reliable. He can actually cope with most situations a lot better than I probably can. Actually, he bolsters me up when he's going back and tells me not to cry, which unfortunately every time that he goes away again, the tears are there. It's just like starting all over again. And I just hope that it all works out for him.
Leigh Alderson, a teenager from Portadown, was lost to dance from an early age. After competing with hundreds of children from across Europe, he won a place with the world-famous Royal Ballet School in London.
I feel the people of Portadown really admire Leigh for doing what he's done by leaving home, going to England at such a young age. He's been a hard worker, and we just hope that the news is going to be good for the next coming year.
Today, he returns to vie for a place in the graduate year, bringing him closer to realizing his dream, a place in the Royal Ballet Company.
I'm very apprehensive, a little nervous, and it's like this every time I go back because you know there's a lot of hard work that needs to be done, and we're that much closer to the end of our school time and we have to get a job then. But it is a little worrying that it's this close, but it's exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. The year is just, full, packed of so many opportunities and so many performances. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be good.
Royal Ballet School, may I help you?
I remember very well when I saw Leigh for the first time because it was when I arrived to take over the direction of the school, and I went to visit White Lodge, and he had just joined Year 7 and he was about 11 years of age. And he was this thin little boy with this great love and joy of dance and gorgeous dimples. And I just remember picking him out as being somebody special at that time. So he was trying so hard, but it was just this joy of dance that came through that really appealed to me. The reason why he caught my eye was first of all because he had all of the right ingredients for a classical dancer, the right physique, the most beautiful legs and feet, a very expressive face, but more than anything, this joie de vivre that I thought was so special, and it's very rare in a dancer. So immediately, as soon as you walk into a room, you look around and you think, there's somebody that's special, and that one person was little Leigh. It is a very important year for him. It is the end of the 2-year course here, which moves into then an invitation to join the professional graduate year. Obviously, we invite the students that we feel are going to go on and move into the classical dance profession at the highest possible level, and that have the ability to get on the stage and perform as a professional. So that's what he needs to get through.
I think most dancers in training tend to try and strive for perfection, even though it's not obtainable really. But you can always try, your hardest to try and be the best you can be. I always get upset with myself if it's not the way I think it should be, and that does tend to happen with a lot of things. It's never good enough, and that is usually my downfall. That's usually when I get frustrated with myself, if it isn't as good as I think it should be.
Set the stage. Good. And up.
There's always something, and if I feel that I've been able to achieve something else will come up, that I feel needs improving.
Okay.
It's a constant battle to try and, be better.
For him, the biggest challenge will be confidence and self-presentation that we need to tap into. It's there, but we need to get over that sort of teenage angst that he has developed over the last year or so.
Try and start now presenting it a little bit more. Try and think about how you can perform it, how you can make it look as if it would be on the stage, rather than just trust your technique.
There's a fantastic, vulnerable innocence about him that comes across very, very strongly. At the moment, it is having an effect on him where his presentation is not coming across as strongly as one would like it to come across.
Okay, stopping right there. As soon as you stepped up, you blocked yourself off from the audience.
Unfortunately, because you're going to go on stage and obviously perform for an audience, that's not going to be favourable. It's almost coming across as very insecure, so he needs to try and let that go.
Walking on. We need to present it to them. They've paid.
He's got a charisma. There is something there that draws you to him, and it's on an intellect level, actually, and a very creative level. So I'm actually quite a fan of his. I think he's got an awful lot of potential.
And try and push off in one go. And one.
For so long I've been really trying to perfect technique, and that's possibly why I've sort of lacked in the sort of presentation of my work. I've really tried to push forward with my technique because for a long time it's what I felt was really important. Now that I'm in upper school, it's such an important aspect to be able to present all of your work and to dance with real charisma on stage that I'm really having to work hard on that.
When you're 17, life appears much simpler. No worries to cloud your horizons. The city, after all, is an exciting place. But it also has a more threatening side, as Leigh was to discover within weeks of returning to London.
Not too long ago, I actually was just walking around my hometown, my new hometown in Pimlico. I was attacked, actually. I was mugged, and I actually did get beat by these 6 boys, and they did steal my wallet and things. The damage to myself wasn't to any great extent, but it was a catalyst for an injury that I'm suffering from right now. It's very painful. It's in my hip. The main concern is how will this hinder my progress as a dancer? We have very limited time to study ballet anyway, it's such a short career, and to actually get an injury like this that is so deep-rooted in the hip with like bleeding in the muscles, it's just very problematic, and it's one of those things that needs a lot of sorting out. It's going to take time, which is a shame because I would really like to shoot on with my training, and obviously this is going to postpone that for a while. It's just the general worry of like how long is it going to take to get better and how much progress you're missing out on in the meantime. So I've had the MRI scan and I'm really worried about the results because it picks up every detail of what's wrong. In a way it's good. I'll be able to pinpoint the problems and be able to sort of get better on them. But also it's the worry of what if it's, you know, really, really serious. That's my main worry.
Okay, Leigh, got your results back. Okay. And it's good news. Okay, it's good news. So we wanted to rule out, of course, any nasty problems that could have been occurring, you know, within the hip joint.
Really overjoyed that it's not as serious as what it could have been.
Okay.
The problems that have occurred in my hip are nothing to do with the bone, which would have been the most serious of problems. It's more just the muscles around the hip, and they can be easily sorted out. So, you know, it shouldn't take too long for it to get better, which is good. And I'll be back dancing quite shortly, so. Definitely the workload gets a lot bigger. Repertoire, pas de deux, ballet, just to push us to that final graduate year, which is what everyone is ultimately trying to strive towards to get, because that is the foothold in being able to be seen by different company directors and different dancers, just to present your work, just to show people that you're worthy of a contract into a company. Sometimes I have this reoccurring dream. I'm back at my junior school, White Lodge, my very first day, and the beginning of my education and my journey with the Royal Ballet School. My childhood home for 5 years. It's funny because when you come back here, you instantly remember everything you forgot, and you do feel that you've forgotten everything. In reality, this was my childhood. I was here for most of my childhood. I spent 5 years here. I was very homesick for at least the first 2 years that I was away. That was the hardest too. What made it harder was seeing my mum so upset, because it made me think it was me that was kind of making her upset. It was my dream, and I was the one that was taking myself away from her. This is where I wanted to be. And she respected that, but it didn't stop her from being any less upset. This obviously had to become my second home. And although I'll never place it in front of my home in Ireland ever, it had to be a home. You enter into a part of a family, and because of the whole industry that we're in, and because we all have a common interest, you do naturally gel together because we're all of the same type and we're all of the same kind of gene and same kind of personality. This all helps to bond people, and it's that kind of bond that makes you want to stay.
There's the arms 3 and E4.
It gives this place a totally different atmosphere and a different feeling.
Leigh, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are
This is
you?
alive. You sure look different from your knife.
Oh, thank you.
How you?
You have house mothers and cooks and everything all around you, so when you actually break into the real world, for instance, over school where you have to get your own flats and stuff, it's a totally different ballgame, and you realise how sheltered you were. And I think that's what makes it a home, the fact that they look after you and they shelter you, and they take such good care of you.
Everything's fine, yeah. Everything's good.
Quite a few people were homesick. The main thing that helped me through it was the fact that I could always speak to my mum. And I'd always talk to her, I think nearly sometimes an hour a day. I think I went through so many phone calls at my mum's expense, but she was always glad to hear my voice, and I was always glad to hear hers. She was very stubborn at the fact that I wasn't going to give in just because it was a bad day or just because I was having a run of bad emotions in order to fulfill a dream, which in effect you don't quite know is really going to happen for you because nothing's really certain. Because you kind of miss out on a childhood, you miss out on a normal
kid's life. At a young age, being asked to do something so demanding of you is a huge demand on a kid. This year was a year that I had plenty of doubts about dancing. We had recently found out who got accepted into upper school and who hadn't. And it was sad because you realise that they were your family. So for them to not be there anymore, it was quite frightening actually. It was very sad to see some of your very close friends. And it always does seem to be your very close friends that have to go. Everyone in the year had been together for such a long time that it was more about our emotional journey together. That's when you realise that nothing does last forever and everything has to move on. In a way that kind of drove you to be more dedicated because you realised how competitive it was at an early age and you realised how demanding it was. What helped my decision to stay on and continue with my dream, I think, was possibly the fact that I had so many ups and downs. Because I think from that you learn a lot more, and with those you're given that many opportunities to really have a think and think about how much you want to do it and think if it is the right thing for you.
The days are beginning to fly by, and life is good. I love the buzz of London, and work is going great. I've been lucky with the flat and with the friends that I'm staying with, although sometimes cooking is a bit of a chore. My major goals, I think, towards ballet is to definitely become more mature as a dancer and to perfect the art of dancing in myself.
And that's it. Okay. And if you let it go with the music and rhythm and don't try and stop it and place it so much.
With perfectionism sometimes comes this disappointment. You know, you always have these high expectations. I've got to look like this, and they spend their life in front of this mirror, you know, criticizing themselves. And in a way, the teacher, you know, as much as you try and give them confidence, you're actually correcting them. You're trying to make them better. So in a way, if the mind doesn't take it in a healthy way, it can be very soul-destroying, and they can take it on in a negative way. And at the moment, I feel he does that.
Yeah, it's just as we come there, this closes together. It needs to be absolutely... No, we've gone there.
As much as you have a fantastic body, a fantastic technique, and you can do all the stuff, I don't think that makes a dancer by any means. It's the personality, it's the individual, and it's what they've got to give and their soul. And that is really where I'd love to steer him back to, because I think he's got it. I think he's got it. He's just got to get some confidence back.
I also want to be able to accomplish, you know, all the sort of classroom goals like, you know, good pirouettes, you know, the perfect lunge. Just to strive forward and to try and become more of an individual in my dancing.
On that side, they were...
There's been quite a few, like, sort of opportunities to prove myself.
Happy birthday.
Turning 18 is a life-altering moment. For Leigh, there was a realization that big changes were coming.
I think when I turned 11 and joined the Royal Ballet School, even back then, that was a huge step for me. I mean, I was moving away from my family and friends, and for me, that was when I had to really grow up. Turning 18 is another step above that. My profession is so much more serious, and, you know, the ideal job is so much closer than it ever was when I was 11, and my training is coming to an end, and it's time to get a job soon.
Vegetarian?
We'd always, as young children, played together and spent a lot of time together, done a lot of things together. So it was very noticeable that when he was gone, that there was an absence in the house. At 11, going away to another school is a very daunting task. You'd have to mature extremely quickly. And I didn't really understand that at my early age, but as time went on, I have understood why he would go away, and because I have those same desires and dreams as my brother does. I find that our relationship was at probably its weakest when my brother first went away, and over the past few years, I found our relationship has got even stronger.
Right, Leigh, well, this was a special occasion for you to landmark the 18th birthday, and we've all took great pleasure in watching your career. But I'd like to thank you mainly. It's just for you, because we all think a lot of you, and you always know we're here behind you. Okay?
I can hardly believe that Leigh has reached a big milestone in his life, his 18th birthday. This past 7 years have absolutely flown. Because I only see him during holidays and special occasions like his 18th birthday, it's hard to actually believe that he is now a young man. But I think he's coping, and I'm proud of him, very, very proud of him.
Leigh, come on, it's time to get up.
The last term, I think, was pretty emotionally draining. The sort of the amount of things that were going on. I've pushed through it, and I've got through it, and I've come back. I'm sort of come out of it, sort of knowing more about myself, I think. I will be brutally honest, I've been incredibly sort of negative towards myself. It's very hard for me to sort of see the more positive aspects. Especially when you've got mirrors in front of you, and not every day is going to be a good day, and I think that's what most people expect. You look in the mirror and things don't look too good, it immediately sort of sets you in a mind frame that's pretty negative. And I'm one of those people that takes it to heart, so I would take it all very personally.
You're going out there, I want it out to the audience. And when you were doing it, you completely dropped. We have had some complications, which did plague him a little bit until then. After Christmas, things started to settle. We have a problem with Leigh in that he is his own worst enemy. He tends to find the negative in absolutely everything. He becomes so analytical about his technique and how he projects himself, and to the point where he just doesn't seem to like anything about what he does in the classical studio. And it seems there's a threshold. As soon as he steps into this classical ballet class, something changes in him, and he just becomes self-critical and just generally negative about his whole class aspect.